Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
I love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
I'm not smart enough to know what baseball teams do when it's freezing, right? But I did see a post on the on TexAgs on the premium boards about will we have a series this weekend. I don't know if we're expected to have rain or snow, but we are expected to have some of the coldest weather we've seen in what, a month?
Yeah. Actually, I thought I was looking at it, and there was a percentage of rain forecast for Saturday and Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully they'll be able to get the games in. They got a team coming all the way from California to play.
Yeah, and they probably got to make that decision soon, right? Or do you think they just come anyway?
No, I would think that
they're on the phone. We'll talk to Early today at 9 o'clock.
They're on the phone, and
like,
do you really want to fly all the way here and fly back,
right,
and not play anything?
God, that would suck to lose 4 games in a week.
Yeah, it would,
especially at this point. And I wonder what they would do if that were the case, because sometimes they don't make up, the midweek game. They just kind of, but there's not time, so I don't know what they would do.
Yeah, well, if you wanted to play, you could probably always find somebody that'll play a midweek game that you can just go and get batting practice against. You know? I think they'll be all right, even if they have to cancel a February series with Cal Poly. I feel confident, they're still going to be all right. Hopefully they won't. I mean, everybody wants to see them play.
Right. I don't know if you know this. They're a veteran team.
They are a veteran team.
Yeah. They got a good pitching staff.
They do.
They got a really good hitting staff. They got a bunch of hitters.
They do. Bunch of them.
Big swingers.
Big swingers.
Yeah. So hopefully we get that game in or that series in, and we'll talk to Coach Early later and see what they're thinking. There's the graphic right there. So this is what it looks like right now. Watching Max, good old Max. Nick, there's a couple cameras covering me up, so if you can kind of help read that out loud so we can see it. Or hear
so
it.
just Friday, Saturday, we'll look at that. Friday, we're watching for precipitation, rain and wintry mix possible. And Saturday, warmer but rainy. It's going to stay above freezing. So February baseball weather for you.
There you go.
I think the answer to all this is just the, dome, Bluebell Park.
Just put a top on it.
Make it the Aggie Dome.
The Aggie Dome.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can, but we can certainly talk about it. All right, let's talk some college football, because is it Nashville that they've been meeting up, and New Orleans, and all these places that the college football commissioners, at least from the SEC and Big Ten, and trying to decide what the future of the conference and the playoffs look like. And Michael Wilbon, you familiar with Michael Wilbon?
Yeah, I am familiar with him.
Is he a Northwestern guy? Where did he go?
I think he did go to Northwestern.
Yeah, I know he's a Big Ten guy. We're going to hear a clip from him here in a minute. He hates what's happening to college football. He hates it. You want to hear what he said?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's listen to Michael Wilbon.
College football. My focus is entirely somewhere else. It leads toward the ruination of what I appreciate about college football. Having followed it all my life, having covered it half my life, I hate what this is doing. And yes, I'm a trustee at a university in one of those conferences that is at the big kid table, okay? It's the golden child table to be in the Big Ten or the SEC, and I'm grateful for that. But now I'm sure I'm going to make people who deal with me in the Big Ten cringe. Tony, I don't like exclusion when it comes to sport. I want inclusion. And when you cut out fan bases, You cut out regions of the country, not just conferences, because you can absorb those teams under another umbrella. I get that. The USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon can be in the Big Ten, and you sort of don't exclude. But you do exclude. You exclude rivalries. You eliminate them. You chop down when you do this a big part of what college football really is. And I find it loathsome. So I'm not going to deal with whether it's deserved. I don't know. It distracts in a major way from college football to me.
Thoughts?
Sounds like a guy who's been covering college football half his life and following it his whole life. He's kind of late to the party. Oh, there's rivalries being done away with. Oh my gosh, can you believe what's going on? Whereas Nebraska and Oklahoma hadn't played for how long? Texas and A&M did not play for how long? And now,
well,
Michael,
I mean,
look, the premise.
Yeah, you agree with some of what he's saying?
There's a lot of things that has changed in college football that I don't like the changes.
Yep.
But they've been made, and they're going to continue to be made.
And do you agree that the changes have been good for the game? Hold on. Not all the changes, but the playoffs. Have they been good for college football?
The playoffs are good
for college football.
Yes.
Maybe they're not good for the bowls, but the bowls is not college football. It's a part of college football.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a part of college football, but it was a bad part. I mean, it was good that you had a game to play, back in the day to be rewarded for a good season. But, we used to, again, sports writers used to vote on who the national champion was.
Which is stupid.
Yeah, of course it was. And yet they did it for almost a century.
Yeah, until 1998.
So, and even then, he would talk about exclusion. Well, they only took 4, and so good teams would be left out. I'll go all the way back to 2012. If I truly believe, and I can make a strong case in a court of public opinion, that Texas A&M was the best team in the country
at the end of the season.
At the end of the season, in fact, they beat the national champion on their home field in November, and yet when it was a 14 playoff, that A&M team would not have gotten into the playoff.
Yeah.
So. Expanding the playoffs, I think, is great. I still think they expanded it by 4 too many, and it should have been 8. But they're
going to do it again.
That ship sailed, and they'll do it again. Eventually, it'll be 16. I think they're talking about 14 next. But these changes have been made, and they're going to continue to change. And quite frankly, the SEC and the Big Ten, they generate the most revenue. Mm-hmm. The most interest. They have the biggest stadiums that are packed, full, and all those things. And so, they're going to be able to set the I don't, precedent's not the right word, but set the standard of what the future is going to look like. And I don't think, he's talking about exclusion. Well, that's almost, look,
I actually don't agree with that, and this is why.
You can still play.
Well, not only can you still play, it sounds to me that Sankey is open to everybody being a part of it, right? If it really was, all right, we're going to exclude everybody, Big Ten, SEC, we're going to make our own league, like they've talked about.
Which they will, eventually.
Eventually, but right now they're not there. Big 12, ACC, everybody else, we'll see you later, right? You guys have your own little fake national championship. We're going to play in our own league. We'll add a couple of your top dogs, make it even a bit stronger league, and we'll see you. They're not doing that. What they're doing right now is, hey, we want what's best. This is at least what they're saying publicly. Well, what's best for college football. But at the same time, we know we carry the biggest stick. We're going to have our teams guaranteed these spots. We're going to get 4 and 4. And if you're the 5th best team in the SEC and you don't get in, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm fundamentally against that. About saying, hey, a conference automatically gets 4 teams in. Because what if there are 4 teams, say, in the Big Ten that really aren't deserving?
Like Indiana?
Well, Indiana had an almost unbeaten record. But somebody, is almost, I'm not saying that was the case this year.
Uh-huh.
But in some years, was there 4 teams that really deserved to be in from the SEC this year?
Should brands matter in this conversation?
No, brands should not matter. Branding mattering, the however you want to say that, brands matter is the reason A&M got left out of the playoff
In 2020.
in 2020.
Yep.
So no brand shouldn't matter. It should matter as who looks like the best teams, right? And so I'm against the whole idea of, hey, 4 teams from any conference gets in no matter what.
So how would you do it?
I've said it 100 times before. You have to put in I would go back to the
BCS?
computers. No, I'd still have the computer. I wouldn't have a committee decide who gets in, because humans will be
stupid.
Well, I don't want to say stupid,
Biased.
but they can be biased, easily influenced. The computers, they're going to put in formats that will take into strength of schedule and accounting and all those things, and let that be how these 12 or soon to be 14 and then 16 teams get in.
Right.
And yeah, you can put in, all right, a conference champion automatically gets in, but I don't think a conference champion should automatically be
a top 4 seed.
A top seed.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
But
and I think that's the next thing.
And that's what happened this year.
But I think they were discussing that yesterday.
Yeah.
I think Sankey and I already forgot the Big Ten commissioners. They want to change that to where a conference champion from anywhere just automatically gets a bye, or the top 4 get a bye.
So yesterday, Greg Sankey confirmed that even though no decision has been made, they are rethinking their position on the 9-game schedule.
Oh, I think they're going to go for 9 games. Not, obviously not. I think in 2026, you're going to have nine conference games.
Plus a Big Ten game.
That'll be one of your non-conference games.
So there's your 10, and then 2 cupcakes.
I guess. Would that mean A&M would cancel its upcoming home and home with Arizona State?
Potentially.
I think they got one with Louisville coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Personally, I love the idea of, okay, we're going to open our schedule against first game of the year is going to be against Prairie View.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, everybody's excited. Football's back. It doesn't matter that it's Prairie View. It's a good kind of practice game.
Yep.
And then you play Arizona State. And then you play that Big Ten team.
So I love that idea.
And then you get in the conference.
But I would rather, in that world, start 0 week. And then you have that Prairie View game 0 week. And then Labor Day weekend, if you will, when people can travel, you have your big non-conference game.
Okay. But there's going to be
maybe your Big Ten game.
The Big Ten game.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for a bye here and there, and I'm just saying that I think 9 games make sense for various reasons. You're going to make more money because when the TV contract comes up, because you're going to be able to negotiate with ESPN and say, hey, we're giving you another marquee game to sell instead of some of those games that nobody pays attention to.
Yep.
And then also, again, I've said it till I'm blue in the face, your fans who you're expecting so much and you're charging them so much for everything, give them good games at least.
Yeah. You want to get excited about strong A&M football players?
I would be more excited about strong ones than I would weak ones.
Okay, well, let's watch a couple of videos of strong ones. Torian York there. It looks like, is that 2 plates, 3 plates? It looks like 3 plates on each
For
side.
A power clean.
Look at that, a little Torian York action. Let's see, I think there's another one coming up, and you might be surprised who this next guy is. And he is Kevin Concepcion. Okay, KC.
Yeah.
And he also has 3 plates. No way. KC can't do that. He's a wide receiver. Oh, no. Is he? Yes. He power cleans 3. Okay. And I believe we also have Torian. We already did Torian. DJ Hicks is on one of the videos. Aggie Football tweeted this out yesterday. And Landon Rink. So some strong dudes putting in work, but I liked seeing KC Concepcion looking strong.
Yeah. Get off press coverage with that kind of strength.
Yeah, there's DJ Hicks right there going to town. So Tommy Moffitt and the crew putting in the work.
All right. Hope they're fast too.
Yeah. Fast and strong.
And learning fast on how to how to operate his own defense.
Yeah. Hey, it's TexAgs Live, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if you knew that. Did you?
I knew that.
Okay. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, and we are currently sitting in an area that we call the Holistic Planning
Cool Zone.
What do they do with holistic planning?
Well, they do a lot of cool stuff, like help you with your investments, your taxes, another day closer to April 15th, and your estate planning. And part of that estate planning can take you back to the investments where you can invest in what?
Pro sports.
Pro sports.
They have a website for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
I don't know. If it was me, I'd just call it something like Invest in Pro Sports.
.com.
Yeah,
you got to do the .com.
Yeah.
It doesn't work anymore.
EDU wouldn't work.
Yeah, no. Or
Even I
.gov.
could get educated on it.
Yeah. So go to investinprosports.com and check it out. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. By the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 979-693-1150 is our phone number. We'll pick it up on the Bubby's Catering hotline. You can text that same number as well, 979-693-1150. Nick Savage is behind the glass. Hey, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Oh, nothing much. Did y'all notice a little difference in the studio this morning? I mean, have y'all taken a look around at all? Like, you know, the graphics?
Well, I know that there's some
Look a
black
little-
and white pictures over there.
Yeah, black and white. Why are we black and white?
Well, I guess it's becoming, you know, a tradition at A&M. What do they say? If it happens twice, it's a tradition. Aggie basketball is going to black things out again against Tennessee. The last time that happened, obviously, Texas A&M upset Tennessee at Reed Arena. So Aggie basketball, again, blacking out Reed. And something that caught my eye, you look at that road win-loss record for Tennessee, not too impressive on the road. I mean, they've had to play some tough games like Florida. The first SEC game of the year, they got absolutely walloped on the road, but only 4-4 record in conference play, so that's something to keep an eye on, in my opinion.
Well, but every other ranking, fifth, fourth.
Yeah,
fifth
don't look at those. Don't look at
ranking,
those.
fifth
Number
in
one
Ken
ranked
Pom.
defense, according to Ken Pom.
Yeah, so this is... I'm still mad about what happened against Mississippi State. So
Yeah, a team that had been kind of mediocre at home.
Yeah.
You know what? As long as it's still 15 feet from the free throw line and 10 feet go to the floor like the Hoosiers thing, it doesn't matter to me. I don't necessarily feel that much better where you play. Just go out and play better basketball.
Hey, Saturday, March the 1st.
Yes.
You are going to be somewhere.
Yes, I am.
We're going to be chatting with humans.
That'll be great.
We're going to be doing a little chat at the Angry Elephant in Cyprus. I hope you all can go to the Angry Elephant in Cyprus, 4 to 6 o'clock. And on that weekend, we have a lot of Aggie sports going on. The A&M baseball team is playing at the old Minute Maid Park. Now it's called the Dyken Park.
Dyken Park.
And we have Aggie basketball taking on Florida on the road.
The Gators. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
So we'll hang out there. We'll get you set up for it. We'll chit-chat. You can ask OB anything. He'll be unfiltered.
I will. I'll tell you what's on my mind.
Yeah, you will. You will. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. The Torniac is back. Caitlin Torn, hello.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Well, how are you?
Good. We got a text going back to when y'all were talking about football from Wixon Ag saying, just remember our champion got beat by Notre Dame. I love the expansion. We get a true champ. You win, you advance just like every other championship in the NCAA.
Well, it ought to be.
Yeah. I mean, they got it right. I also understand, like,
but
I liked it better in my day. I get it, because I like the NBA better, but I like the NBA better in my day. You know, like, there's certain things, I don't even watch the NBA anymore. There's certain things that you go back to how you fell in love with the sport, and that you miss it, even if it sucks.
Yeah, my day was the bowls, you know, and the voting for champions. I hated that.
Yeah.
But again, let me reiterate. I do actually agree with the idea that you should not get a first round bye or you know, just because you were a conference. If you want a weak conference, you get a bye.
Right.
Now, I'm not into that.
Kaylin, any news for us?
Yes, we do. We have the A&M women's basketball team host Florida tonight at Reed Arena at 7 p.m. The Aggies have a 9-5 record at home this season, and 2 of those victories were ranked victories over Ole Miss and Kentucky.
They need it.
Yeah.
It's been a little rough go recently.
Yeah, a lot of places will struggle if you lose your best player.
Yep.
and A&M is one of those.
Hey, 1775. Do you like going there sometimes?
Yeah, and today's a Thursday.
So you could go today?
I could.
Huh.
Having some car issues today, so you might have noticed my truck wasn't outside.
I didn't notice that, no.
Yeah.
Situational awareness, I failed at it today.
But if I could, what a great day, Thursday. You can get out to 1775 and just have the 1775 experience.
Yeah. And that experience includes not only the great food, more great food.
Yeah.
And then another layer of great food, but also just being there.
Yeah, with some great people.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Great guy, Brad.
The whole crew.
Great. And then, you always meet a friend there. Last time I was there, there's a bunch of, I think they were high school football referees.
Okay.
Struck up a conversation with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I go, there's a good chat, good food, and they're open Thursday.
That's with iDoc Mike.
That's your guy right there. Yeah. He's awesome. Open Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until they're sold out. And you know what sells out quickly? The queso mac and cheese. Everything sells out quickly, though.
Yeah. Get the pork ribs or that succulent brisket. It's outstanding.
It is 1775txbbq.com. Go check them out. They're delicious.
Larapin.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I don't think you're going to agree with this comment on the YouTube page.
Okay.
Maybe you will. Missouri did the league a favor last night in the SEC basketball standings. What do you think about that?
Well, they beat Alabama. I don't know if that's a favor or not. It's not.
It hurts A&M.
It hurts A&M because A&M's trying to get the double bye by finishing in the top 4.
Right.
And now I think, are they tied with Missouri now?
I believe they are.
They have the tiebreaker having beaten Missouri, but Missouri has a much less challenging remaining schedule than A&M does.
Yep.
You know, A&M still playing Tennessee, a good Vanderbilt team. They got to go to Florida. They got Auburn.
They're both 9-4 in the conference.
Yeah, so they're tied.
Yep.
So A&M has a much more difficult row to hoe moving forward to get that double bye.
Does Alabama and Auburn play one more time?
Yes,
they do.
They play in the final game.
And Alabama would have the tiebreaker with A&M. I'm just talking out some scenarios. If A&M did not lose out or did not lose, well, if A&M doesn't lose another game, they would have the tiebreaker over Missouri.
Yeah.
So, but it did. I think it complicates things for A&M, but it does open up the league a little bit. They'll open up possibilities.
Yeah. Of course, Missouri was in the NCAA tournament anyway. What that did was, maybe if they were a 5 seed, maybe that's the kind of thing. If they finish strong, gets them a 4.
Yeah.
But they were already in.
I agree.
Yeah. So, if you don't like Alabama, I guess that it helped you. I mean, it made you feel good. I would have celebrated it because I don't like Alabama, except that it actually makes things a little more difficult for A&M.
Yep, I agree. Let's talk draft analysis. All right.
All right.
So there's been a lot of talk about Shamar Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him, I think, as high as 16, somewhere in the mid-20s. I've seen a lot of stuff. So apparently there was a debate going on ESPN with Field Yates. Familiar with Field Yates?
Know the name.
Younger guy, Mel Kiper. They're going back and forth on Shamar Stewart. And here is what Field Yates had to say. He had 4.5 sacks in his career.
Right.
It's going to require a GM that has a strong backbone to take Shamar Stewart early in the draft. I think 16 is about right for where he goes. Is it too risky? Would you invest a level of capital in a player with that small track record of production? Which I think is a fair point, right? Now, here's Mel Kiper. There's no question about it. He looks like a guy that could be Trayvon Walker when he came out at number 1 overall. He looks like the guy that certainly could be in that top 5 discussion. The production with how disruptive in college football. I went back and watched the plays. There were a lot of games where he didn't have a chance to get a sack. I mean, the ball was getting out of the quarterback's hands quickly. He's getting blocked. Remember, they had other guys.
Okay, and that's fair to a certain degree. Look, I hope
both things can be true.
But I hope Shamar gets drafted early, because he seemed to be a good guy.
Yep.
And certainly physically, the part.
Yep.
I mean, he's perfect prototype. But I think it's fair to start saying, well, why didn't he get to the quarterback more often? Was it was he somehow misused by the defensive line coach or the defensive coordinator? I think it's a fair question to ask. I mean, if this guy's a number 1 pick or a first-round pick and he got 1.5 sacks, now look, did he make the play of the year for A&M? I think he did against Arkansas when he blew up that exchange. And you know what? He almost intercepted a shovel pass against South Carolina. Might have turned that whole game. But defensive end is coming in, charging hard, and all of a sudden the ball's there. More often than not, they're not going to make that catch. But he was there. So I thought he played well against the run.
Yep.
But I did expect more in the pass rush. And when you say, well, there are other people out there, that should make, in my mind, give him more opportunities because, hey, we got to double this guy or we got to double this guy.
I agree with you.
So, but I always go back to Michael Bennett, who I don't remember Michael Bennett doing anything or much at A&M other than knocking Colt McCoy out of a game.
Right.
But other than that, I don't remember him having, being a this significant presence at A&M. But he turned out to be a really good NFL player. And why couldn't Shamar Stewart be the same?
I agree. Let's talk to Stephen McGee on the other side. He's already in the lobby. Let's do that. If you're looking for a reason to move back to Aggie Land, or maybe you're already here in Aggie Land, what you need to do is, if you're thinking about a different kind of job, a different lifestyle, reach out to the Association of Former Students. They typically have openings in several departments: fundraising, they have communications, marketing, a couple different areas, sales. They're really a great place to go work. But if you're trying to get back to Aggie Land, why not look at them? They are the nation's premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting A&M, a part of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out with Howdy socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie muster, and everything in between. Also, join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. So if you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone who would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. I Refuse to Care here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Stephen McGee with us, our QB1, Paragon Financial. What's up, bud?
Hey, trying to survive baseball talk with Bronny out.
Yeah.
It's just.
But then you got Dawson over there schooling you.
Dawson schooled me this morning on head coach, college football, head coaches. Like, I would love to see you guys square off in like a knowledge, like a Stump the Schwab series, but TexAgs version. It's incredible. Like, his little sports database in his brain is ridiculous. But
you know what I love though? Like, in the last 10 minutes, you have learned so much about sports.
I have, but I've also instantly forgot it because it's all, well, a lot of it's baseball.
Because he refuses to care.
Exactly right. Dude. No offense. And you know what? If there's one baseball team that I love, it's the one we've got here this year with these guys. I love it. I'm all in. But it doesn't mean I have to enjoy watching baseball or.
Did you like baseball as a kid?
My dad made me quit in the 7th grade. He said it's time to run track, which, honestly, in retrospect, it was a good move for me, right? Because I was a slow white kid. I needed to get faster. And then obviously we ended up running the option in college. If I hadn't run track, I probably wouldn't have played.
Wait, you're white?
Slow white kid. Slow white kid. Yeah, not going to have a place on a team that runs the option if you can't run. Like, you got to have.
So growing up, did you watch, were you a Sports Center kid growing up? Did you care? Okay.
I'm a big Sports Center. Like, back in the OG days, though, before it got
Stuart Scott,
all
Dan Patrick, before Keith Olbermann changed.
Yeah, Stu. I used to love Sports Center back in the day. It had a good deal. So can I tell you what's going on in the world? It's off season. It's a little slow. So I had some friends the other day chime in and said I couldn't make a field goal kick.
Okay.
Tell me more.
So now we have set up. Of course, they want it to be in full pads. So I've got to wear pants, shoulder pads, helmet. Do you think? Hold it together. Hold on. I'm going to the indoor facility. I'm a kick. I get 2 attempts from a 35-yard field goal. So the ball's on the 25.
Yeah.
No elements.
Have you done this before?
No, I haven't kicked the ball in 10 years. And I said, look, this is a bag of chips. I've got this. I'm gonna nail it.
I think if you it has to be accurate, right? I think if you get the lift.
The lift?
Then
you're not going to practice once?
No. Look. Practice.
You're not going to go to Consol and just kick?
Dude, kicking is it's so easy. These guys make it so hard. And then originally they were like, well, to make the bet fair, you've got to kick it from 45-yard field goal.
Yeah, I mean, NFL guys that miss it from that.
Consistently. So they settled on 35 yards.
Okay.
Now, were you having this bet with anybody that was ever a kicker?
No, but then, of course, Swopey chimes in. Randy Bullock, throws him in the conversation. He's like, no way. I'm like, y'all just watch. Y'all sit back, grab some popcorn, and watch Daddy work. I want to nail it. First, the second kick's going to just be for fun. Are you doubting me?
Well, no, actually.
I don't know. I don't know what to doubt or what to believe. Because
back in the day.
I'm a toe puncher.
When my son was in the 4th grade, and, Irma was still up in Tennessee, I'd have to bring him to practice with me sometimes, right? And we'd be waiting on the team to get finished practice, so the media would all be in the indoor facility. And so, you start doing stuff. I remember my son being in the 4th grade, and they were setting him up for like 20 and 25-yarders, and he'd make them.
Yeah.
So all you got to do is kick it another 10 yards. You're a grown man that played professional football.
But he's a toe puncher,
Cowboys.
He just said.
I'm a toe puncher. I've never kicked field goals, but I can tell you this. We're playing the Arizona Cardinals on a Christmas Day game.
They moved from St. Louis.
No way. Really?
They did.
So that's back in the old days when the extra point was like 15-yard field goal.
Yeah.
And we drafted a kicker to be a kickoff specialist that then took on the role of kicking field goals too.
That's the guy from USC?
Yeah, he missed the extra point. Went off the field goal post. Guess what? We lost that game by?
By 1 point.
By 1 point.
Yeah.
So you think I have a thing for kickers?
You're not a fan.
I'm not a fan. Y'all know this. Like, kickers do one thing really well. They lose you football games.
Wait.
When the kick matters,
they
consistently. If you look at kicks that matter, what is the make percentage? Especially if you take out Vinatieri. That dude was.
Well, what about the guy?
Seth Small.
What about the guy up in?
Seth Small made the one against Bama, but I'm saying
Florida,
like you got to look at the full body of work
right.
and say, hey, kicks that matter when the game's on the line. You got to have the kick, and it's in that 40 plus range. I guarantee you, it's under 50%.
Maybe in college, I don't think it is.
Morton Anderson, God, was nails.
How about
that
Gary
Anderson? Dude with that single bar mask.
But Gary Anderson missed the field goal for the Vikings.
Hunter Goodwin was on that team. By the way.
Yeah.
Ask Hunter.
But what about the guy up in Baltimore? You know, the guy that's getting in trouble for.
I don't think we want to go there, do we?
But he can kick. He can kick.
He can do a lot of things.
There's a joke coming. Hold on. Let's see.
I don't.
What can he do? What can that guy do?
He can kick. In fact, I think you're undervaluing kickers, and you're not giving them enough respect because I think he's laughing. I think it's more
money.
It's more physically taxing. It must be because he's had to have multiple massages.
Yeah, that's why he's been on the IR for some.
All right, let's tuck that thought in the back and move on.
Nice pun.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Hey, anyway, so we started the show talking a little bit about the future of college football. SEC, Big Ten are having these conversations about maybe scheduling each other. Having to play one Big Ten team every year, SEC schedule, plus adding to being a 9-game schedule.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about 10 quality games as opposed to what we get now. What do you think?
I love it, but I think it unfairly benefits all the schools that are in the other conferences.
Yep.
Because it makes their entrance into the college football playoff much easier, like SMU, who was dog. So that's the part of it that makes me. It pains me a little bit just knowing that these teams are going to have either easier pass and or automatic qualifiers where a 3-loss team from the SEC is going to be out.
Which is why the SEC and Big Ten are pushing for 4 automatic qualifiers into the tournament, to the playoff. Obi disagrees with that, right? You're
I just think that that you're going down a quote slippery slope. If you're going to say, hey, you get 4 good teams, you get 4 teams anyway. What if the Big Ten doesn't have 4 good teams? This year, what 4 teams does?
I agree with them, Big Ten.
What 4 SEC teams deserve to be in the playoff?
I agree. You're not wrong on that one. I think 4 SEC schools every day of the week.
But this year, I don't think there was 4 SEC teams that deserved it.
I think that there's 4 teams that would have won 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Maybe. But you know what?
They got SMU.
When you're sitting there with 3 losses. You lose your right to complain and say I should have been in.
See, I agree. But remember, think about it. Let's flip the script. If you're just looking at the win-loss record, what if a team gets hot late, right? So think about
A&M football in 2012.
Yes,
but they didn't have 3 losses.
New York Football Giants, 2011, I think it was. They were a team that was on the fringe of not making the playoffs. They get hot late, all right, make the wild card. They're like 8-7 or 8-8, whatever.
Yeah.
Great. They make the playoffs. They win the Super Bowl.
Playoffs?
The playoffs? Playoffs? I'm talking about practice. Hey, they get hot late, though, is my point. Right? They would not have deserved to qualify for the college football playoff in this conversation, but they ended up being they ended up being the best football team.
Well, and the champions from this year, they wouldn't have made the playoffs in the old last couple years ago playoff, but they got hot after their last game because they were a different team after the Michigan game.
True.
The rest of the way.
Amen. And that's my point. And I guess I would just argue that I don't care if SMU has the best game of the year. They aren't making it. They're just not beating these teams. It's just not. It's not the same quality football team across the board. They're just manhandled in those games. And so I like the idea, especially for the SEC. They need to just stop all this conversation where they're going right now and just have one super conference. Let the top 60 teams in, and then it's all equal. Like you can't have weak non-conference games that benefit this one, and Clemson doesn't play anybody all year, and then they get in. Like those conversations are gone if you have one super conference.
So I know you guys love soccer. Here's the example. In European soccer, they have this thing called the Champions League, which is kind of like the playoffs, if you will, where they invite the 4 best from each league in the top leagues. And then other leagues that are not as top get 1 or 2 qualifiers, right? So that's kind of like this. Opie's got a joke coming. That's part of what we're talking about, right? Like
soccer. Are we talking about soccer? We went from baseball to soccer. This conversation's going south.
My point is, though,
Points taken.
in that world, you're saying there are certain conferences that you're okay with. I don't know if Big Ten deserves 4 this year, but Big Ten, SEC, and then everybody else, you get your 2 or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I can see Big Ten in a normal year getting the 3. I mean, it's going to be Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, pretty much. I mean, who else is in there?
Look, I just go back to this. The SEC would have had 4 teams in if Ole Miss doesn't lose to a bad Kentucky team, or if Alabama doesn't lose to Vanderbilt, or who was the other one that was? If South Carolina doesn't lose, early. Yeah. So just win your damn games, and then you don't have to worry about it.
But the thing about the SEC, unlike other conferences, is that in any given week, one of those teams can beat another team. There's never a week where you go into a game, you're like, there's no way this team can beat that one, because there's enough ability at enough positions in the SEC where guys can win. It's like the NFL. Like, even the worst team in the NFL can beat a good team in the NFL, because those guys at the end of the day are on that roster. They're dang good football players.
Yeah.
And if they get hot and the other team turns the football over, you can lose that football game. That's why I like the parity of the SEC compared to other conferences.
Well, hold on. We got to hit a break here. If A&M played in the Big 12, would they have been in the playoffs this year? This year, the 7-5 year.
That's a good question.
Excuse me, 8-4 year. 8-5.
I would say yes.
There's nobody in the Big 12 that I think A&M would have been a major underdog to. Now, the way Arizona State was playing at the end of the year.
That's a good point. But, I mean, we'd be a one-loss team.
Or ACC.
Ooh, ACC.
I guess my point is, in the current system that we're in today, it's about to change again. The current system that we're in today, does it behoove you to be in the SEC to make the playoffs?
Yes.
It does. The other part of that is our roster has the ability it does, I think, largely because kids want to play in the SEC.
Yep.
Look, I would have argued for a 2-loss Ole Miss to get in over SMU, but I will not argue for a 3-loss.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue for a 3-loss Big Ten team, whoever that may be, to get in because they're in the Big Ten.
Could you have a rule that says if you have more than 2 losses, then the automatic qualifiers go out the door, then it becomes voting?
Yeah, you could.
Sure.
You could.
Let's hit a break. We'll continue that thread or that thought on the other side as TexAgs Live presented by David Gardner Jewelers. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Got about 4 minutes, guys. Buy, sell, lease, release. Okay? So there's
buy, sell, lease, release.
Yeah, you can release it. Like it's not good.
What's the difference between selling and releasing?
I just try to find
okay,
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Which one's the worst?
The worst is sell.
Sell is worse. Okay.
I don't know. Now sell, at least you get some value. Release, you've been cut. At least when you're sold, you're traded.
Okay.
I'm making this way too complicated.
You stumped me.
Yeah. Buy, sell, lease, release. I don't care. I just want to have a talking point. College football the way it used to be with voters, people like OB voting. Okay.
So if I voted, if it's only me, then
it'd be solved. Yeah.
BCS college football model. Okay. Look at Olin's face. The 14 playoff era or the 12 to 16 team new era that we're currently in. Buy, sell, lease, release.
Are there 4 and you gave me 3 options?
I gave you 4 options.
I gave you 4 options for 4.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
I'm
really
buying
hard.
the current model. I want the 12 playoff team. That's the obvious.
Or 14 or 16.
And then I'm gonna lease the 4-team deal.
Okay.
I'm going to sell the old model where it's voters behind a desk. What's the other one?
BCS era. How would you describe the BCS era? Was it like a computer model and
a computer model to come up with a 2-team matchup? Because remember, it wasn't
release that one for sure. Where are you going?
I'm with you on all those.
Hey, let's have a day.
Yeah.
Let's have a day.
The best way to do it is to have a playoff.
Settle it on the field.
The playoff's not perfect, but it's better than any of the other things.
Yeah, you may have the 24th ranking in jiu-jitsu, but I promise you, I'm putting my cash on you. I don't care what the rankings say. Y'all should settle that in the ring, right?
Yeah.
Not me.
No, we're not just going to vote.
Yeah,
I'm going to vote for Nuño. Yeah.
I never play. I've never grappled. I've never done jiu-jitsu. Should I have a vote? No. I shouldn't be voting on you. You should settle that in the ring, right?
So for you, because I know OB has talked about this, do we just do away with the bowl system completely in that world?
1,000%. I am baffled the bowl system even exists. What is the point of the bowl system right now?
Money for
TV station.
Yeah, but
I don't have a problem with the
there's
bowl
no problem.
per se.
Let all the teams practice. Give them 15 practices. That's really what they want. They want to get their young guys reps. The bowl game. I mean, it's got to be a losing model for Goodyear, whoever's sponsoring this non-important bowl with half the roster gone. Tell me how that's good for who enjoys watching a bowl game where all the players are transferred. All the important players are gone. They're sitting out, they're transferring, whatever.
Which is why, and we got about 40 seconds, I have my terrible idea of having your bowl games to be the start of the season.
Yeah.
Labor Day weekend.
I know that pains OB, and I'm not going to get it. He's definitely going to release that idea, but I would say you got to pay these guys. You got to give them a portion of NIL, like the basketball tournament did. They got to share a portion of the ticket revenue if you want some of these kids that are sitting out to participate. But still, it's a broken model. I don't like the bowl games. Do you like them?
Some I'm fine with. Some I'm all right. I got to watch something in December when I'm at home.
I like watching football. I just want them. I want the players to make it. I want it to matter to them.
And pay them.
Yep. We got to drop it here. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Michael Earley, Richard Zane, got AT as well. It's TexAgs Live. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. Richard Zane's with me. I'm David Nuño. It's now time for our conversation with Michael Earley, brought to you by Duck Camp. At Duck Camp, they know about the best moments happen out there on the boat, casting a line, or hauling in the catch of the day. Be sure to check out Duck Camp's new spring hats, like the fan favorite, the crawfish hat, and the redfish hat at duckcamp.com. With that, we go to the Buppies Catering Hotline. We are joined by Michael Earley, A&M baseball coach. Coach Earley, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good, man. So just if you can update us on what the thinking is with the weather this weekend, the series, just is there anything you can update us on?
We're going on as planned. I mean, I know there's been thoughts of moving people have asked, like, you want to move the game up Friday? Well, the temperature is no different. It's actually colder during the day than it is at game time, and then Saturday, it's really no temperature difference. So we're on schedule. So it's going to be a little cold.
Definitely planning to pack some thermals to have with me in the press box this weekend, Coach. What did you get to do with your free Tuesday night after the McNeese game got canceled?
I didn't really know what to do with myself, to be honest with you. Just had a good probably last Tuesday dinner with the family for a long time. So that was nice, but. Other than that, not much. Was just upset, just like I was when I was a little kid. Like, if it ever rained, I was just like probably awful to be around because I wanted to play so bad. So I was a bit like that, just a little more mature with it, I'd say.
When you have to cancel a game like that so early on in the season, what does that do for, your usage of your bullpen and the other guys, the position players that, perhaps we didn't get to see very much on opening weekend? Because you're really losing reps, whether it be the run rule on Saturday, ending early on Sunday, and then losing a full 9 innings on Tuesday. How are you going about making up for that lost time?
It's like we do with practice. I mean, and nothing simulates the game, but we have machines and technology here that allow us to do that. And that's the bad part of it. The good part of it is like I'm real big on sports performance in the guys' bodies. So while I would love to play 3 9s this weekend, it did help with a little bit of buildup. So I take a positive out of going 9-7-7, a little day off, and then, anticipate 3 9s this weekend. So there's some negatives on the baseball playing part of it, but there's some positives in the sports performance part of it, where it allows us gave us a little build-up, ramp-up time, which I definitely like.
Michael Earley here with us on TexAgs Live. Michael, since you've been associated with A&M baseball teams have been so patient at the plate. Can you kind of just tell us your thought process on that philosophy and making sure that you wait until you get the pitch that you want?
Yeah, it's really about having a low heartbeat and not being afraid if you get the 2 strikes and realize that, like, there's a lot of pitches you can hit, but trying to make these guys understand the pitches that they can handle the best, specifically early in the count. The only take signs I gave this weekend is when the guy was absolutely spraying it on the fake bunt. Other than that, there's no take signs. No one's telling anyone to walk, but it's, get your pitch, get a pitch you can do damage on. If you can't, move on to the next one. And our guys did a really good job of that, specifically when we look at the TrackMan data. Some of those early strikes they didn't swing at, some of them, number 1, weren't strikes, and 2, they weren't pitches they could do much with. Now, ball's right down the middle. I'd love for you to swing at it, but that's just kind of something I've always believed in. It was a little different at my first job at Arizona State. One, when I first got the job, I didn't really know what I believed in, to be honest with you. I was just teaching hitting. And then just who I worked for there was just had a different philosophy, like one early contact, and then all my better guys were guys that were deeper in the count. So just more of like a study and self-reflecting on players I've had. And it's a good way to play, because you got to get on base, and swinging the bat actually is not in your favor. So make sure you get the pitch that you can really hammer if you want to swing at it.
One of those guys that got on base at a pretty high clip this weekend's Terrence Keel. The second, he was honored as the SEC's co-freshman of the week, hit 500, drew a trio of walks. What did you see from TK in his first collegiate showing, and then how cool was it to see him be rewarded with that honor later on Monday?
Oh, it was great for TK. I'm sure it was great for his confidence. Not that he not that he needed any more confidence, and he's not arrogant. So I don't mean it like that. He's just real confident and knows he's a good player. So it was awesome. He played really, really well. I just love just how he plays. Like I didn't even see when he caught that ball, he kind of leaned up against the fence, which I love that, man. Like, just be comfortable out there, be yourself, and just, he brings an element to the team that's different, and he's doing what he's supposed to do, and I'm excited to see him get back out there this weekend.
I guess he's kind of forcing your hand a little bit because we know who's going to play right field when Caden Sorrell gets healthy. So, one, an update on Sorrell and his hamstring ahead of this weekend, and then two, how are you and your coaching staff planning on getting guys like TK in the game when it starts to be, the lineup starts to be a lot more crowded when guys get healthy?
Yeah, well, we're going to continue to be cautious with Caden. So he'll. I don't anticipate him playing this weekend, especially with the temperatures. Just and it might not be the next weekend either. It really is just a week by week basis, and I'm not playing him until he's 105%. Not with a hamstring. So that's the update on him. And then I hope I have that problem. I'll welcome that when we get to it. And that's the balance I have. Period, as being a head coach is mixing, balancing, winning with development and all of that. But yeah, I hope that problem comes, and I anticipate it too. So I will we'll answer that question when we get there.
I apologize for kind of making this into the injury update portion of the interview, but Coach, we didn't see Josh Stewart last weekend. You said post-game on Sunday that he was just being held out as he gets ramped up. Where is he now, a few more days removed from that series finale against who did they play? Elon. Completely forgot who they played. Who you played, Coach? Sorry.
No, all good. He's good. He's good to go. I mean, he threw on Tuesday. It was awesome. So I anticipate you seeing him this weekend. He's obviously not built up to go, back-to-back days or maybe even 2 days on the weekend, but he's on the right track through Tuesday to live hitters, and he'll be, I'm sure we'll see him this weekend. So he's all good.
Great news about Stewie there. And then the last one on the injury update is Gavin Grahovic didn't really look like himself on last weekend. How's he feeling as y'all start to prepare for Cal Poly this week?
He's good. He just got a little bit of shoulder tightness, but I mean, he looked good in that last game, or not the last game. Good day too. I mean, he hit an off a home run. Mm-hmm. Just getting back into it. Part of it's a little bit, just getting those at bats under his belt, and he's dealing with a little bit of a left shoulder deal. But I think this weekend will be, I'm sure, a little tough just because it's cold. As it starts warming up and his rehab continues, he's further along, right now or even this weekend than he was 2 weeks ago. So it's just continue to get better, getting it stronger, and he'll be all right.
Michael Earley with us here on TexAgs Live. Michael, a couple questions about the starting rotation this weekend. Do you anticipate it being the same and any different kind of approach with how long they're out there because of the weather conditions?
It'll be at least what it was. Yes, it'll be the same rotation. And, they are built up a little more, but we'll take all that into account. And part of it is like seeing how they feel. Once you get hot out there, you're good. It really just depends on the up, down, how long you have to sit, and those type of things. I mean, their pitch count will be definitely what it was last weekend, but we'll kind of see how the game plays out. Because, the weather is a thing, but winning, you want to win, right? You want to win, you got to continue to build. So you don't want to take a step back just because of the weather. So it'll definitely be a balancing act of how long you're sitting there and those sort of deals. So it's just really, really fluid, to be honest with you.
Talking to Michael Earley here on TexAgs Live. Michael, I wanted to ask you about Blake Benderup, just local kid who had a great opening night, and just where his growth has been from your perspective.
He's immense. It's been awesome to watch him work since the day he got in here and coming in and making the switch, and his confidence he's a tough dude, man. Like it doesn't matter honestly to win or lose, but if I got in a brawl, I want Blake Bender up with me, and that's just how I feel about him as a player. And that doesn't help you win or lose, but when you're playing the way he's playing and how anticipating playing, and he's one of the toughest dudes on the field. It just brings a different type of element to your baseball team, and I just love that about him. And yeah, it's awesome. He's a local kid, but he's worked his tail off, and I'm just really proud of him. And I think the sky's the limit for him. I really do. I'm a big believer in him, and I like what he's doing right now. And he just needs to get more comfortable out there. And I think he's got another gear in there, but love what he's doing right now.
How much of an impact do you think working with you and Caleb Longley has had with Bender up and his approach at the plate, and also working with Coach Fox to get more and more comfortable over there at first base?
Yeah, I'd like to say, we want to have an impact on everyone that comes in our program, and just Blake being here a few years and really missing a whole year of hitting. He worked really hard last year, and I think he's just like a lot of people. He's a year older, a year stronger, a year more confident, and another year in our system and how we do things. And I know Caleb's helped him out a ton, and he's improved. I know the fly ball in the game, but other than that, he's improved a lot defensively. So he's done a great job just working. He grinds. He gets after it just like everyone else. So he's done everything we could have asked of him leading up to this point. And I think that's why we've seen the improvement. I think you'll continue to see him grow.
How important is Brad Rudis to the entire pitching staff? Really to the team itself, but just his role this year, his veteran mindset, everything combined?
Huge. He can do anything you ask of him. He can start. He can close. He could come, in the middle of the game. He can bridge to the closer, and just the leadership qualities and the stuff the games he's played in, the moments he's been in, what he's seen, what he's been a part of. There's not going to be anything too big for him. He's just an awesome guy who the guys really follow, and I lean on a lot as a voice of the pitchers to the head coach. And he's awesome. And I think once we get this pitch count built up with him, he's going to play a massive role on our team this season. And, he's one of those guys you give the ball to, win or lose. And I never sleep well now, but I sleep better. I don't sleep any differently knowing I gave the ball to Brad Rudis. So we love him.
Coach, as you look ahead to this weekend and you've started doing your prep and your game planning for the Mustangs, what kind of challenges do Cal Poly present, and what have you seen from them through their first 4 games of the season?
Yeah, you got your West Coast style baseball you always be ready for. So the bunting, how they hold runners, a little bit different style of pitching. And one of their starters has a really good velo, but we're gonna get mixed a lot. We've got some guys throwing curveballs, but traditional, and now it's usually just sliders. They got some good players. They got veterans. Anytime you have veterans, you're going to be good. And Larry Lee is a phenomenal baseball coach. Big name on the West Coast. Son was a first rounder, big leaguer. Guy knows what he's doing. So they're not going to beat themselves, and they're going to be ready to go. So any team, coached by a guy like that is always going to be ready to go.
How much small ball should we be prepared to see out of the Mustangs?
I think it really just depends how much we let them get on base. So I think you're going to see how the weather conditions play, but I wouldn't be shocked if you see a single and then you might see an immediate bunt. We'll see. I think they've evolved a little bit with some of the players they have, but yeah, you'll probably see it. I anticipate as much this weekend as you'll see it any weekend all season.
Michael, I know that you love the staff you have assembled. So after having a weekend of it going live, just your thoughts on the synergy and how it all worked out.
It was good. We had to we knew what roles were going to be in the game and just kind of had to evaluate what those were. And, I even game 1, I caught myself trying to do too much, not get in anyone's way, but like inside, I felt like I should be doing certain things, and then had to kind of reflect and realize like everyone's doing what they're supposed to do, keep rolling. And then Saturday was just a lot better. Obviously there's the anticipation of game one played a part in it. But I like where we're at. I think everyone's doing their job. They know what I expect out of them. They know what the players expect, and we just got to continue to grow in all facets as coaches and players. And I think we're doing that. So I like being around the guys I work with, which helps a ton. But that matters to me a little. It matters to me more if you do your job and you care and you're working hard, and that's what they're doing. So it is a plus that I do like them. But they all care, man, and that's all you can ask for. Like just a high level of care and wanting to win and wanting to make guys better, and that's what I really appreciate about all of them.
That is Michael Earley here, brought to you by Duck Camp. Coach, thanks so much for the time. Looking forward to some baseball this weekend.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, there he is, Michael Earley. On the hotline, the Buppy's Catering hotline. Before we hit a break, I don't know if worried was the right word, but I'm glad they're getting this game in, this series in, because you lose the Tuesday game. You don't, at this point of the season, you've got to get the reps in.
You've got to get the reps in. You've got to know what you have, right?
Yeah.
You still don't know what you have. I know a lot has been made about what the bullpen looked like this weekend. They gave up a few more runs than you probably would have liked to see against a team like Elon, who is going to be probably a contender in their league. Granted, they're not an SEC team, but they're a pretty good ball club, and they were pesky, and they drove pitch counts up. They got on base, and they turned those into runs. Obviously, A&M didn't help itself with the errors they committed on Friday and Saturday, and then we know the two plays that weren't called errors on Sunday. But, you've still got to get those guys back out onto the field. I'm talking about Peyton Smith, who we saw pitch twice, largely ineffective in both outings. Ty Baker, ineffective on Sunday. Caden Wilson didn't throw very much at all on Friday night. You're going to see a lot more of Weston Moss. How do they want him to impact the games? Is it going to be as a starter on Tuesday nights, potentially working his way into the weekend rotation, or is there more value in impacting games on the weekend? We saw that from Shane Sadeo last year until he moved into the rotation late. So there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. I don't think they're question marks like you should be concerned about them, but they just need to see so that in their minds, the coaching staff's mind, they can have those question marks answered. They know who they can go to. They know who they can rely on.
Well, and look, they've got, not only do they have to get the reps in the game reps, but there's so much limited time that if you don't play this weekend, you're not going to get those games back later, more than likely.
No, you're not. And obviously, you were playing a 55-game schedule before you canceled the game on Tuesday, so now you're down to 54. If you lose these 3 games, you're looking at a game against Texas State, who just beat Oklahoma State this week up in Globe Life. And then you've got 3 games down at Houston, Daikin Park, is that what we're calling it now?
That's what we have to call it.
Against 3 power conference opponents. So there's really no rest for the weary. There's very little time to ramp up for the conference series, or for conference play. We're less than 3 weeks away from that already. Right. So that'll be here before you know it, and they still need to know who's going to slot into what role, what responsibility. And I still think they've got plenty of talent. They just need that talent to show up when the lights are on and the games count.
We'll have a lot more tomorrow on the baseball bunch, but any particular area, player, thing that you're watching out for this weekend?
Oh, definitely the bullpen and the defense. I want to see the defense take a step up. The weather conditions, we talk about how bad the conditions were to hit in last weekend. They're going to be poor hitting conditions against Cal Poly this weekend. Those same weather conditions, it's cold when you're standing out there in the outfield or shortstop or wherever. So it's hard to stay engaged when your mind's on the weather, but we'll see how they handle that after they've had a rep of doing it last week. And then the bullpen, man, I just want to see who emerges, who they know they can trust. I think I'm excited about Clayton Freshcorn, excited about Weston Moss.
Yep.
I know the coaching staff is still very excited about guys like Ty Baker and Peyton Smith. I want to see them actually have some success so they can build some confidence. And then guys like Caden Wilson and Luke Jackson, I want to see them start taking steps forward because the stuff is electric and they can be.
And we've seen it be electric.
Yeah,
we've seen it.
Well, it was electric on Friday when they both pitched against Elon. Now that I can remember who they played, brain fart earlier in the segment. I apologize for that. But those two dudes have had electric stuff.
Yeah.
We just need to see them build some confidence so the coaching staff knows they can trust them in some high leverage spots so that they can become weapons for this team.
Thank you, Richard.
Of course. Thanks,
Appreciate
Bobby.
you. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back. I'll do a little SEC notes. Plus, we'll get to your text messages. And then after that, Aaron Torres, AT Online. All right, right now we're talking Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish your insurance goals. They have all types of insurance you can imagine. They have homeowners, farmers, ranchers, hobby farmers, business owners, and their priorities are simple: God, family, and country, and their organizational priorities. Consultation only, no gamesmanship. They want to make sure that you know that they're going to take care of you. They're not playing games. They want to give you the best insurance possible, and they're hyper local here in the Brazos Valley. Their headquarters is on Highway 6 in College Station. You can call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO, or go to their website where there's an intro message that I'm a part of at rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. Nick, do I look like a golfer to you?
Do you look like a golfer?
Yeah. I'm just curious. See, I don't think I look like a golfer either. But Kaylee and Reed over here is like, yeah, you totally look like a golfer. I'm like, really?
Maybe from like the 1920s or something, when they used to wear like suits and ties to play a round of golf. But
suits and tie? I don't remember wearing a suit and tie very often around here. I don't think I like anybody in this office right now.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying whatever.
Anyways, TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Interesting topic to start off the segment. So we're going to try to class up the joint and go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Caitlin Torres there. And Caitlin, you've got some SEC notes for us.
Yes, I do. Before I get into that, Giga and Bart sent in a chat on the YouTube that I don't know if we ever got an answer from McGee if he made the field goal or not.
I don't think he's done it yet. That's my understanding. He's about to do it.
Oh, he's about to. Okay.
Yeah, he's about to do it.
We'll have to get.
He's
back
not. And he says he's a toe. Like, can he make it? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a toe kicker, I don't believe you're going to hit a 35-yard field goal if you haven't practiced a little bit. That's just my opinion.
We'll see. But the ESPN broke down teams by conference into categories based on their projected NCAA tournament status.
We're talking basketball here, right?
Yes, talking basketball. And this year they did it mostly based off categories from ESPN's Analytics BPI forecast, which gives each team a probability to make the tournament after simulating the remaining of the season 10,000 times. The SEC leads with 9 locks, which is the Aggies, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, and Tennessee with 100% to make the tournament.
9 are 100% to get in. Okay.
Those 5 are 100%.
Oh, 5, sorry.
Mississippi State and Kentucky are 99%. Okay. And then Ole Miss at 98%. There's 0 should be in, which is they have a 70 to 94%. Work to do is from 25 to 69% to get in, which is UT or Texas at 63%. Vanderbilt at 44%, Oklahoma 40%, and 29% for Arkansas. And outside looking in is 22% to Georgia and 1% for LSU.
Right.
The Big Ten has 8 locks. Big 12 has 5. The ACC has 3. The Big East has 4. And the mid-majors has 3.
Hold on. So let me just go over that again with you. The Big Ten's got 8 locks.
Yes.
And the SEC had how many locks?
9.
9. Okay, so the 100% locks was only 5, but they had 9. Okay, that sounds more like, because I thought I heard 5 for a moment for the SEC, and was it 8 for the Big Ten?
Yes.
Yeah.
And those 8 are Wisconsin, Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, Maryland, UCLA, Oregon, and Illinois.
Okay.
So that's just a little update on bracketology, getting close. And then we also have some D1 baseball. The SEC leads the latest top 25 with 9 teams.
In the top 25.
Yes.
And those 9 are?
Texas A&M at number 1. Number 3 is LSU. 4 is Tennessee. 5, Arkansas. 8, Georgia. 10, Florida. 15.
So hold on, that's 5 teams in the top 10, right?
Yep.
Did I count that correctly? Okay.
Yes. And then 15, Vanderbilt. 16, Texas. And 18, Mississippi State.
Huh.
Yep. So
and
looking good for the SEC.
We mention this on the show often, but you can erase the sport name and put in another name. You can put basketball and have the similar conversation. You could put football and have a similar conversation. You could put women's golf and have a similar conversation. So interesting.
Yep. SEC is doing well. And then moving to football, 247 Sports released the top 25 games set to define the 2025 national championship race. And do you want to guess what the number 1 game is?
Ohio State, Texas.
Yep. Number 2 also is Texas at Georgia.
And number 3, A&M Notre Dame.
It's up there, but
not 3.
That's 13. So close. 3 is Penn State at Ohio State. So Ohio State.
I don't know enough about I know Penn State lost a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know enough about how they replenished, so I'm not, but sure.
Yep. 5 is Alabama at Georgia.
Always huge implications, yep.
6 is Georgia at Tennessee. 7 is Ole Miss at Georgia. It's pretty high up there. Yep. 11 is Texas A&M at Texas.
I would actually put the A&M Notre Dame game higher. I don't know I think I know Notre Dame's schedule because it's very similar every year. But to me, typically they don't play enough really. They are Notre Dame, so they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. But like, I remember coming into this season, that A&M Notre Dame game was so important for Notre Dame more than it was for A&M, at least from a perception standpoint, based on what was left on the schedule. I would have A&M Notre Dame higher, not just because of A&M, but more because Notre Dame typically doesn't have that kind of schedule. In fact, while you're talking, I'm going to look at Notre Dame's. I'm sure it's the exact same schedule that we saw this year, but to continue on.
While he looks at that, going down the list is 14 LSU at Ole Miss, and then 15 is Texas A&M at LSU. Notre Dame again at 16 at Miami. Then we have Texas at Florida, Georgia versus Florida, Clemson at South Carolina at LSU, South Carolina at Ole Miss, Tennessee at Florida, and Florida at LSU.
Hey, I'll give Notre Dame a little props if I'm reading this correctly. They got an interesting schedule this year. They open up with Miami, then they have A&M, Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, Boston College, Navy, Pittsburgh. Wait, is that right? That can't be right. But yeah, they've got themselves a very interesting start to their season with 2 SEC schools in the first month of the season and a Miami team to open up the season.
Yeah.
A Miami team led by what quarterback? You won't remember, but I will.
I don't remember.
Carson Beck, who transferred from
I did
Georgia.
Know that. I did know that.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but like it was one of those like, Miami, what are they going to look like post Cam Ward? I'm not a big Carson Beck guy, but maybe a change of scenery for him will do wonders. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with AT, Aaron Torres. Right now, let's talk Fratello Italian Cafe. If you like Italian food, you got to go to Fratello. If you don't like Italian food, you got to go to Fratello because you're going to like Italian food when you go to Fratello. That's what you do when you go there. You're going to enjoy it. They have homemade Italian dishes, and they make them with love. Fresh pasta, golden fried breadsticks. They got the lasagna. They got the cheesecake, and they love A&M. They're partners of A&M Athletics, sharing a passion of food for Aggie fans everywhere. And if you can't make it to Fratello in person, no problem. They will ship their products nationwide. Plus, you can hang out with them on Saturdays in Houston. You don't even have to be in the Brazos Valley because they're at the Memorial Villages Farmers Market in Houston. And they're owned by the same family that opened Pino's in Houston. Proud to carry on that great tradition of serving up the best Italian food in town. Come hungry and leave happy. It is Fratello, all about good food and great company. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. It's time for Around College Athletics, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. We go to the Buppy's Catering Hotline. That's where we find AT, Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online, and of course Fox Sports Radio. Aaron, good morning, buddy.
David, great to speak with you. Good morning. How are things? How'd the Aggies look last weekend on the diamond? I really wait till about, late May to get into baseball. Did we look like the number 1 team in the country over the last weekend?
I think we did. There's some things that because I'm going to help them, need to clean up. But absolutely, you got 3 home runs from Jace Lavalette. Ryan Prager looked like a stud. They won the series. They swept them. Yeah, I mean, there's some things they got to clean up for sure. But yeah, it was a fun weekend baseball-wise.
Yeah, some things we all got to clean up in life. So it's okay. Yeah, I actually did see, I think it was yesterday, some highlight reel on social media of Jace Lavalette. Well, we're talking number 2 prospect, according to some outlet. I don't know. Like I said, I got to get through basketball before I start grinding the tape on baseball.
Number 1 prospect.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Which outlet?
I think all of them. If not, I wouldn't read them.
All of them. Okay. So basically, this one outlet was actually the wrong one by having him ranked number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I feel, hey, Caitlin, look that up. I feel like for the most part, I've seen him. I mean, number 2 is great, but I think I've seen him as, more of a number 1 MLB pick potentially. But look that up while we're talking. And AT, hey, AT, so do you want to start college basketball or college football? I'm going to allow you, like a choose your own adventure book, like when you were a kid, you choose your next question.
Sure. Well, it's funny because I'm putting together my show for this afternoon, and I'm going to kind of combine college football and college basketball because I think I know where you want to go with college football. I don't think you want to break down the Aggies' O-line depth chart. I think you want to talk about the future of this postseason. But it's interesting because it comes off of a weekend where all of a sudden all the big media companies, ESPN, CBS, started talking about college basketball NCAA tournament expansion. So I think it's coming in both. I think it's for all the wrong reasons. But since you kind of mentioned it, and since I don't think I'm going to be forced to break down the Aggies depth chart because I don't think I'm ready quite yet for that, let's go college football.
All right, we'll go college football. So you've got the 4 families, or really the 2 families meeting, like in a mafia movie, at a diner in Nashville, discussing what the future is, alliance between those 2, what the future of the the playoff system could look like. Do you like this idea of automatic bids for the SEC and the Big Ten, and then in turn, with that coming, an alliance between the SEC and the Big Ten where they have to schedule each other 1 game, and then on top of that, potentially 4 automatic qualifiers for both conferences?
So I don't like any of it. So I think there's a difference between, could we all see this coming? Yes. Do I have to like it? No. Am I going to accept it because Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and the people that run all the big TV networks care what Aaron Torres thinks? Yes, I do have to accept it. But listen, first of all, there's really 2 things that just kind of bug me about it. One is the super obvious one, which is it's all a money grab. It's all to, make guys and girls that you and I don't know, that the average fan doesn't know, more money. I don't think it helps the fan. I think the fan is already being spread thin enough as it is. And then, if we're just talking about broad playoff expansion, then I don't like it because I saw this year's 12-team playoff, and we know that there were 3 or 4 teams that were clearly better than the bottom 3 or 4. But now you're talking automatic bids, and it just gets down a slippery slope that I just don't love. Is that, listen, I already think, I've said this consistently, is everything is already, and this was my big beef with Alabama in the college football playoff conversation last year, everything is already skewed in favor of the Big Ten and the SEC. They make more money, which gives them access to, not only better players, but better, coaching staffs, resources, whatever. The media coverage is more intense. The SEC and the Big Ten are already basically given the benefit of the doubt. And so to now just push them in is that, one, I just don't like it because it's like, I thought the reason we were expanding the playoff was to get everybody in and give everybody a fair shot. But here's the other thing that I think does bother me as far as why I don't love the idea of automatic is it just continues to diminish the regular season. We were arguing over an Alabama team that got blown out 2 weeks before the end of the regular season at Oklahoma, which wasn't very good. We were arguing over an Ole Miss team that lost at home to arguably the worst team in the SEC in Kentucky. And so we're just going to get to a point where I know people say, college, those 12 Saturdays, 13 Saturdays in the fall are so pure, but we are going to get to a point where it's diminished, where it's not going to mean as much, where an Aaron Torres or a David Nuño can't get as fired up, where fans can't care as much about a loss. And I just go back to the original expansion of 12, and I'll just be quick because I know I'm already going long, is every other sport in America, except for the NFL, is trying to get people to figure out how to care about their regular season. It's a constant topic in the NBA. It's a constant topic in Major League Baseball. We have this Nations Cup in hockey that people care about all of a sudden. College football was the one sport that everybody cared about in the regular season, more so than any other than maybe the NFL. And we just continue to go out of our way to diminish it. So that's, a 30,000-foot view on, 15 different reasons why I don't like expansion, even if it seems ultimately inevitable.
All right, so if Aaron Torres was Greg Sankey called you, right? And he's like, hey, Aaron, I listen to your show sometimes. It's pretty good for the most part, especially when you're on TexAgs Live. What do you think you should, what should we do? So how would you fix it?
I would how would Torres fix it?
Yeah.
I would probably go to a 16 playoff, and I would make every regular season game matter. I would give. I think you could probably talk me into 8. I think you could probably. I'd have to do the math, but we could make 10 work, right? I mean, when you're arguing over Alabama or SMU, we're pretty far down the totem pole of teams, and I think, frankly, down the totem pole of teams that can actually do damage in a postseason. Like, you can sit there, and it was so funny to watch. Everybody spent a month arguing about, Alabama got screwed until Alabama actually had to do this thing called play a game against Michigan where they got obliterated. And so, listen, I mean, if we're expanding solely for money, that's fine. But if it's about the quality of the product, we all watch those first-round games. Now, you can sit there and say, once we got to Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, the games were pretty good. That's fine. But we can't pretend that Notre Dame, Indiana, and that SMU, Penn State did not happen. And so I just bring it up to very simply say, adding more teams to this postseason isn't going to increase the quality of play. As a matter of fact, it's probably going to decrease the quality of play. And I actually thought coming out of the college football playoff, while I enjoyed it, I thought there were more issues that needed to be addressed than, just sitting there saying that it was this perfect product that didn't need adjustment. Yet here we are adding more teams to a longer playoff. I just don't love it. But again, I know we're in this hypothetical. Greg Sankey is consulting with Aaron Torres, but, I saw more teams. I saw more blowouts. I saw less compelling football, not more. So I don't know how adding even more teams fixes that problem.
Talking to Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Live. So Jason Laviolette, according to MLB.com, the number 2 prospect, but according to D1 Baseball, the number 1 prospect.
Well, I trust Kendall Rogers more than some guy in the MLB. I'll tell you that much.
I'll tell you that, right. At least this week. You're exactly right. Hey, A&M basketball, Tennessee, huge game coming off I don't know if embarrassing loss is the right way. The score was not it was not a good performance from A&M, especially in the second half against Mississippi State. They got the toughest part of their schedule still ahead. They have got to get, I think they got to get this Tennessee game, especially considering you've got Auburn and you've got Florida coming up over the next couple of weeks. Just your thoughts on the state of A&M basketball, considering how hot they were and then the step back they took against Mississippi State.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, David, and I'm sorry if the point is getting kind of regurgitated. I just think in the SEC this year, you got to show up ready to play every night, and if you don't, just about anybody can beat you on any given night. I mean, look at Auburn last night. I mean, at home, off of a dominant win of the number 2 team in the country, Arkansas is desperate, And Arkansas was a play or two from winning that game. And so it's not an A&M thing, and it's also not to excuse the loss to Mississippi State. But I think to your point, you got to get back on track because, listen, I mean, it's a simple math equation at a certain point is that we all know historically the better seed you have, the more likely you are to advance once you get to the tournament. And so one thing I never want to do is speak for fans or pretend that I know the psyche of fans. But listen, the Aggies have made the tournament a couple times now. And last year they were able to advance to the first round. This is a team that really does have a chance to do damage, but you got to keep finding ways to win in the regular season. I know, like you said, with the schedule ahead, you're probably not going undefeated. That's okay. But we all saw kind of that bracket release last week. I mean, a 3 seed is in play, a 2 seed is in play, advantageous geography once the tournament starts as far as where you play your games is in play. And so you've done an incredible job to this point. You have an incredible resume. Now it's about finishing strong, like you said, because there are no off nights in this league, and I think the Mississippi State game proved it a couple days ago.
So you're at the in the arena for BYU, Kansas?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It was a pre-planned trip. I know some people out of BYU had never been there, and I thought it would be a pretty compelling game. I thought it'd be a pretty big game, and it was an interesting game to say the least. I didn't know I was going to a funeral, but it was a festive funeral. It was a festive funeral because Kansas basketball is dead, man. So RIP to Kansas basketball because that was kind of sad. Yeah.
AT, we appreciate it, man. I realized I asked that question and was already at the 50 mark, so I got to let you go. We'll talk to you next week.
Wow, we're not breaking down Kansas basketball. Okay,
no,
we'll save that for next week. Sure, it'll come up again.
Yeah, it'll be question number 2 next week.
Guys, thank you.
See ya. Aaron Torres online. They're on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We'll hit a break. We will come back with a short segment right now. Heritage Films. That is Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about families, family businesses, family ranches. You got an awesome family ranch, right? You should have that story told. How you found the ranch, how your grandpa started it, whatever the story may be, the cattle you have on your land, whatever you do, right? Like it should be told in story form, documentary form that can be preserved for generation after generation. You got a group of buddies that play golf together all the time. Let's say Reed and his buddy like to go play every Saturday. Have that done in a documentary form. They can follow, the beers that you're buying on the course, all the good chats and fun, and have that told so you can keep that moment for later. Or maybe it's tailgating at an Aggie football game. And every Saturday Aggie home football game, you've got this crew that comes together. You guys bring the big screen, you bring everything, right? And you want to have that story told, and it's a good weekend, right? Can you imagine have done it on some of these great Aggie victories, not the bad ones. So that's what you can do with Chance McClain with Heritage Films. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Kaylin, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you know who we have in the 10 o'clock hour?
We have Logan Lee.
Yes.
I want to say Gerrod Chadwell.
Gerrod Chadwell as well,
Gerrod.
Women's golf, and the
Fan
Fan Show
Show.
guys. And the reason I ask you that is because you have an update on women's golf. Is that right?
Yes, I do. The number 18 Texas A&M women's golf team finished the Moon Golf Invitational at Suntree Country Club, tied for 5th to open their spring schedule. The Aggies shot 7 over 295 in the final round, giving the team an 11 over 875 score for the tournament. Number 7, Florida won the Invitational at 2 under 862. And the Aggies returned to the course February 24th and 25th at the Chevron Collegiate in Humble, Texas, and they will play at the Golf Club of Houston tournament course.
And you have an equestrian update for us.
Yes, Devin Thomas of the Texas A&M equestrian team has garnered Jumping Seat Ride of the Week honors from the National Collegiate Equestrian Association, and she picked up her first MOP, which is Most Outstanding Player of the Year this season.
MIP?
MOP.
Oh, okay. I had an MIP in college.
She didn't get an MIP, an MOP, and this is the 5th MOP of her career.
Congratulations. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, the Logan Lee. Then we will have the Gerrod Chadwell. Then we will have two fan show guys, Roy and Matt will be here. We'll chit-chat with them. Right now, it's the final segment of the show is at 10:50, but caller number 12 at 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave, serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. One of my favorite humans, Logan Lee in studio. Yeah, I say it. You're my guy. What's up, buddy?
I'm good. Why did you have to emphasize the human? Like,
because I think you're a good guy.
Like, people need to know that I am.
Yeah, like, people know that I like you, but I think, like, you...
Okay, just don't make it awkward.
I'm going to make it awkward.
Okay.
I would hang out with you outside of work.
Ah, that's false.
We don't.
That's false.
I would.
We've tried before.
We've never tried. We talk about trying.
You talk about trying, and then you say, "Hey, I'll call you."
When have you tried?
You always say, "Hey, I'll call you." Hey,
no,
we need to get together. Yeah, give me a call. Yeah, okay.
I don't remember you saying that.
Crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Crickets.
I think you know when you have multiple kids, you don't have a personal life.
There's a bunch of facts in that.
When you work in sports or you own a business, you don't have a personal life.
A lot of facts being told right now.
So I say all that to you. Do you play basketball for fun? When's the last time you hooped, my friend?
Before this last occurrence, it was probably about 2.5 years.
Okay.
But before the LSU game, the first LSU game
this year,
there was a basketball reunion.
Tell me more.
We were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the 75 Southwest Conference Championship.
Okay.
John Thornton.
Yeah.
Barry Davis. Yeah. Monsters. They were all there, but they weren't
John
hooping.
Thornton can still hoop.
But they weren't hooping, though.
Okay.
Let's get that straight. They weren't hooping.
Imagine me trying to cover John Thornton in the paint.
Blake McDonald, Jared Johns, all those guys, that class, that group, asked if I could help get them a gym, and we went to Consol, and I didn't really have the notion of I was going to hoop because they're almost a decade younger than me, and they're all in shape, and they still play.
Okay.
They still play, and when I so Blake had told me we have enough guys to play. It's like, awesome.
Oh, you're good.
I'll get you the gym. Perfect. We're good to go.
Yeah.
So we get into Consol, and about 30 minutes before I'm going to arrive, he's like, hey,
we need you.
We don't have enough guys.
Can you call some people?
Like, oh, okay. I told him I can play maybe half a game. Half a game. So when I show up late because I don't want to start, and I want them to be tired by the time I'm in there. And I'm like, okay, first game, it's 8-11 on the scoreboard. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I realized, who are these guys that are playing? They called the A&M club team.
Like 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yes.
Who hoop daily.
Yes.
And still go out and party afterwards.
Yes.
Those guys.
Those guys.
I remember those days.
And it was 8-11, and my old guys, they were winning. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm going to step in.
Knock down some
The game's going to go to 21. I'm going to play like 8 points.
Yeah.
And I'll be good to go. Some intelligent human being said, hey, let's play to 40.
I like that. Yeah,
like,
that's the way you should do it.
Who plays to 40?
Warriors. Yeah.
Not 41-year-olds. Long story short, we played 3 games, and I played the first like 15 points of each game.
Okay.
And then I was like, y'all can fight it out at the end when it's 39-38, and y'all really want to win, and I just want to sit here and catch my breath.
Did you attack the rim at all, or was spot?
Yeah, man.
Okay, good. I like this.
My first shot,
it went in.
It was an air ball.
Okay.
And my son was with me, and he goes, air ball.
Oh, I bet you he was loud too.
Oh, he was real loud.
Yeah.
Then that got the competitive juices flowing, and it settled out. We were good to go. But the guy that I was guarding, I graduated in 2006.
Okay.
He was born in 2005.
Oh gosh. Was he dunking?
Not on me, he wasn't.
Okay. You're old school.
I still have that, hey, if you're going to cross the lane, you're going to get a forearm.
Yeah.
There are no refs here.
Ask those guys. I'm the same way.
That's just how it is. Like you're not going to get an easy layup. You're not going to get an easy shot.
If you tear an ACL, I'm sorry.
I was about to say, if I have to break my leg, you're not getting an open bucket. That's just how it is. But it was all fun. It was awesome. I made a couple baskets. Blake and his crew went immediately to Restore for cryotherapy afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey guys, here you go. And then a couple of them showed up limping to the pregame meal and everything. I did not, though, because I didn't play that hard. I scored a couple baskets and I felt good about myself.
And then I was like, I'm out. I'm good.
Guys,
I had an air ball, but everything else was good.
We're good. I'm fine.
All right. So this basketball season, transition time.
Yep.
I'm going to give it a 95. It's been a great, right? There's been a couple step backwards. I'm giving it a 95 based on my expectations heading into the year and also understanding the limitations that this team sometimes has. Okay? The most recent game to talk about was not good, right? Like it was not good. And sometimes those happen. Mississippi State's playing really good ball. A&M just, they didn't get to the line. They didn't hit free throws. There's a lot. They didn't get to the free throw line. So just kind of sum up where we are in the season based on the most recent game and what's still ahead.
I mean, I would give them an A minus, which would be what, a 90 to 92.
Yeah.
I mean, I would give them that because the season as a whole has been great. You've got to factor in some injuries, and that time lost as a group. As far as Mississippi State goes, it's one game. It's a game on the road, a game against a top 25 team that is playing well, that had everything going for them the entire second half, and it was a slip up. It is what it is. Forget about this game and move on because you have other teams to play. But what I think A&M needs to remember, the guys need to remember that they have a target on their back every single game, because no matter if you're number 3 Florida, number 6 Tennessee, number 1 Auburn, and you're playing A&M, it's another record booster. It doesn't matter if their number in front of their name is higher, lower, non-existent. A&M is a record booster, and that's a win that people can say, if we beat A&M, that could get us off the bubble, or that could enhance our bubble chances. And A&M needs to understand that and bring it, not just because the SEC is so dang strong this year from top to bottom, but because no matter where you're at, everybody needs wins. And A&M's the same. It doesn't matter if it's number 6 Tennessee, number 3 Florida, number 1 Auburn, Vanderbilt, LSU, no numbers. A&M needs those wins. And that's what they have to remember. That's what every team has to remember at this point in the season.
Sometimes I think Wade Taylor is competing against himself, like how good he's been the last couple of years. Because at times it feels like Wade is not having the kind of year that we're used to, or at least the last 2 years, right? And the other times is, well, there's a couple reasons for that. A, they don't need him to. B, they have a post presence now that they can kind of take away from it. But I'm still waiting for, like, and look, I'm saying this about a guy who's about to be the all-time scorer in A&M history, right? So I'm not trying. He is still fantastic, but I feel like because he's been so good at times, we sometimes look at the stat line. This last game wasn't a great game, we know that, but we look at the stat line. Oh man, 14 points, not 16 or not 19 or not 22.
But if you look at it, yes, it's a different year for Wade. I think it's actually a better year for him, because he has grown as a player. His first 3 seasons here, I argued with everybody, that's not a point guard. You had national TV announcers saying he's one of the best point guards in the country. No, he's one of the best scorers in the country, but he's not a point guard. I would argue this year he has become a point guard. He is distributing the ball. He is getting his teammates in place, hitting them with great passes. He's done a great job. Last season, I think he took almost 600 field goal attempts. This year, he's under 300 right now. And that's because his game has changed. The players around him have changed. He doesn't have to do everything. So, yes, he has changed as a player, but I think he's grown and he's developed more.
But offensively, do you think a player like him excels as a volume player, right? Like as a
Oh, for sure. He's definitely a volume scorer. Like it's going to take him a lot of shots to get a lot of points. Now, I can't remember who they were playing. If he goes 7 of 10 from the 3-point line, obviously he's going to get a lot of points on not a ton of shots. But that hasn't happened a ton, really, in his whole career. That hasn't happened a ton. He's what, let's say a 33% 3-point field goal.
Right.
Like that's his career. So he's not a Josh Carter shooting 50% from the 3-point line, but Josh Carter wasn't the scorer that he is either. I mean, he does a lot more things. So I think he's had a great year, and I think he's getting better as we go.
A&M is not going to win a lot of games where both Wade struggle and your post presence isn't what we're used to seeing this season.
But how awesome is it to even talk about that though?
Yeah,
the post presence. You know,
we hadn't talked about it. Yeah,
exactly. And for Henry Coleman to develop the way he has and grow the way he has, for Pharrell Payne to just be a monster when A&M needs him to be. I mean, you think about it. When was the last time A&M had a big 6'9" or above with the physicality that Henry and Pharrell have, be able to go from the high post 2 dribbles to the right and dunk it on a 7-footer, and then down the maybe not the next sequence, but a couple plays after that, go to the left and try to dunk it going to the left from the exact same spot. I mean, that's something that is unusual that A&M has to embrace and continue to really get that offense going behind that.
So looking ahead, Tennessee worries me for obvious reasons. Their ranking, they're all the metrics, right? But I feel like this is the kind of game A&M finds a way to win under a Buzz Williams, under his regime. Like, all right, back against the wall is not the right way to phrase it. They're shoo-in for the tournament. But after a bad loss, they're taking on a top team in the country, a team that's behind them in the standings, trying to catch them, and it's huge for SEC, getting the double bye implications. But this is the kind of game that I see A&M winning, and they've had success against Tennessee here before on a blackout before as well. But again, you look at those numbers, it's like,
That's the first time I'm seeing those numbers. That's tough. Tennessee is 5th in the net, 5th in KenPom, 4th in beep. Golly. I mean, it's what you expect when you have a 6 versus 7 matchup. That's nothing to shy away from. A&M is strong in its own right, and I mean, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a good game. The only thing that is disappointing is the tip time. Why is it 11 o'clock? When you have a top 10 matchup.
Yeah. Why can't you make the adjustment?
You've got to be able to make the adjustment. But, I guess it is what it is, and A&M's going to have to show up early.
So here's a couple of notes. Tennessee attempts the least amount of free throws in the SEC, and they commit the least amount of personal fouls in the SEC, and they allow the least amount of opponents' points per game. 2 of those 3 fit A&M well, right? They're not going to go to the line a lot, and A&M doesn't have to win high-scoring games. They're comfortable winning in those 50, 60, 65, 70-point games.
But you know what that tells me? That tells me that they are extremely efficient and they are extremely disciplined. A&M's defense tries to rattle teams, tries to get them in positions that they haven't been in. A&M's defense is different than almost everybody's in the country, and it puts the team in unique situations. How is Tennessee's discipline going to react when put in a situation that they haven't been in before?
Right.
Is Rick Barnes going to be able to coach his team to say, hey, this is where they want you to go. They want you to get to this spot on the floor. It's okay to get to that spot, but when you get there, you have to either skip it, you have to dribble it out, don't pick up your dribble, don't try to swing it on the baseline, jump out of bounds, swing it on the baseline. What is he coaching that team to do, and can they execute it?
Sure.
This game is going to be about adjustments. And we know Rick Barnes' teams have been disciplined at Tennessee. They're long, they're athletic, they're efficient. A&M is going to have to find its adjustments and execute those adjustments in game. That's the tough part. A&M hasn't been great in the past I think this year they've done a good job of adjusting. But in the past, they haven't been great at adjusting on the fly. This year's a little different. I think they've gotten much better at in-game adjustments. But I think that's going to be the battle.
Yeah.
That's going to be the battle in this game is who can adjust better, who can adjust quicker, and who can be more efficient. Is it going to be A&M getting to the free throw line where Tennessee doesn't necessarily foul a lot?
Yeah.
So is it A&M's will that they're going to impose? Or are they going to find a different way, a different style, which I don't think they have a different style. They're going to have to make it happen if they want to win this game.
So another one of those stats that popped up to me that I thought was interesting, Nick brought it up in the opening monologue, was that A&M at home, 12-1, their only loss came to Alabama. But Tennessee, I mean, that's an interesting road record, 4-4 for a team that is considered top 5 in everything.
I don't know. Who are the teams that they played on the road? That's the question. Who have they lost to on the road? Because if it's a Auburn, an Alabama, a Florida, I think they lost to Florida. Didn't they lose to Florida by like 30?
Yeah.
On the road.
They lost to 73-43 on the road. They lost to Kentucky, Vandy as well.
Oh,
Auburn.
See, but all those places are hard to play.
You got to win the Vandy game if you're a top 5 team.
I agree, but that doesn't mean it's not a tough place to play.
Yeah. Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just don't think of Vandy as being a tough place to play. I don't think it's an easy place to play.
I don't know. When I was at Kentucky with Billy Clyde, I felt like every game was.
Well, it is the SEC,
every
right?
game was tough. Not back then. It wasn't. I mean, the SEC wasn't like it was then, and I felt like because we were Kentucky, everybody had their best game, and Vandy was a really tough place to play. I mean, it's just the setup, the being on stage in what feels like a 360 auditorium, and you being raised above everybody, and the benches on the baseline. Now, I think they've changed some of those rules and regs where the coaches can move more, but it's that we digress.
So I started this conversation with a grading, like where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to kind of end with that too, based on what's ahead. Because when I gave my 95, which is probably closer to what you said, a 92, it's more of because where preseason expectations were,
mm-hmm.
and the fact that I sometimes have these expectations, and I feel like for all sports, right, and not just A&M, my Houston teams, whatever, right, and it doesn't reach that capacity oftentimes. That I'm like, this one, there were a couple, they took some hits early on, right? The Oregon loss early hurt. The Central Florida game, and yet they got some big wins. And like all these tests that they've had to take on this year, they've passed most tests.
Yeah.
But then you look and you're like, but the biggest test
I know
is now. But this big test right now, if you do well, I'm not saying win out, right? Whatever well is in your opinion with the last 5 games, 3-2, 4-1, I don't know, whatever.
Man, if they go 3-2, that's a man.
You're not going to have an easier. I mean, you're not going to have a harder matchup in the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament than what you're finishing with.
No, not at all. Tennessee, Vandy, Florida, Auburn, LSU, 6-2-1 on the road at Florida, and then at LSU.
Yeah,
they're the most undisciplined up and down team ever, but going to Baton Rouge is always tough.
Well, and also that game for about 30 minutes was closer than it should have been when it was here.
Agreed.
That was the game where you played against the club team.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like probably going to sleep in that game because I was so tired.
So is this the best you have felt about A&M under Buzz Williams at this point?
Yeah, for sure. Hands down.
I mean, the ranking would obviously, but also the proof.
It's. I think their consistency has been much more reliable, and they're just so well rounded in comparison to the past.
Yeah.
Not having to rely on Wade scoring 25, 30 points, jacking up 20 shots and having a post presence. You know, Anderson Garcia, he's becoming a force in all aspects.
Yes, he is.
His passing especially. Solo being out there just doing what he does with the energy and the hustle and shutting the best team, the team's best player down. I mean, they all play a role. But again, that's what every team has been like under Buzz. It's not just the Wade Taylor show. Yes, last year Wade needed to score 25, but he also needed help from everybody else. This year, everybody comes in. They got 9. They play 9 guys. They're still playing 9 guys.
They're still playing 9 guys.
There's 5 games left in the season. The roster's been cut by 1.
Yeah,
that's what they have. And it's not 9 guys that play 15 minutes. It's, hey, if Manny's hot, we're going to leave him in there.
Yep.
If Manny's not, then we're going to sit him. If Hef is hot, we're going to leave him in there. If he's not, we're going to sit him. Buzz has the weapons and the volume of weapons this year that he can say, hey man, it's not your night.
Right.
And they understand that.
They do.
They know, okay, it might be my night next time.
Logan, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you, buddy. Bird Dog Time, they're an Aggie-owned company creating access to hunting opportunities. If you like to go hunting, you need to check out Bird Dog. If you own a ranch and you're like, I need to make more money on my ranch, reach out to Bird Dog for a couple reasons. They can get hunters on your land so you can make money having hunters there, but they can also find you some tax benefits that you have not thought of. If you're farming or running cattle at all on your land, you don't have to have hunting on there. They're going to optimize and find you those tax benefits. You can make an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land. That's what many of their clients are doing. They can be your personal consultant and help you maximize that income on your land. And if you're a ranch broker, you need to talk to them as they can help your buyer or your seller understand the additional ways to make money. You don't have to sell hunts with this program. The website is birddogit.com. That website again, birddogit.com. Check it out. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Gerrod Chadwell is in studio here, fresh off I would say, a good and challenging event.
Yeah, it was, from the field. It's
Moon Golf Invitational, by the way.
Yeah, Moon Golf Invitational in Melbourne, Florida, which is just east of Orlando. Probably the toughest field that top to bottom we'll see all year. So, I was curious to see where we're at versus that field. And, all in all, please, we had a chance to win going in the last day and probably weren't playing good enough on the last day to do that, but we're holding on to second place for quite a long time. And then one bad hole late kind of, we plummeted down the leaderboard a little bit, which you would do in that field. But, with a top 5 finish early, I think is encouraging from what I've seen at home.
Yeah, top 5. And then what you said a moment ago, though, for the most part, you were hovering around second, right? So, if a challenging hole happens, and that happens, like the overall, if you look at all the holes combined, pretty much all pluses.
Way more, we told the young ladies when we got home, way more good happened than bad, and to put us in a position to win that tournament in the final group last day, that's what you ask for, and had a chance going into the back 9. So if we can do that every week, a lot of good things are going to happen. But for some of those young ladies, that's the first time they've been in that position amongst those schools, and that's a postseason field. We're going to have to beat a lot of those teams to accomplish what we want to accomplish this year. And we did it, at the first event out in the spring. So, we were talking, I think this bunch has gotten better every week we went out. So, I'm looking forward to, it's a quick turnaround, but I'm looking forward to getting out again and seeing what we can learn.
How difficult, or maybe it's not difficult, maybe you're so focused on the moment to know what your program has done the last few years. And kind of, I was asking this about Wade Taylor earlier, like in competing against yourself, knowing this is what we've been, and we're not there just yet, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, I think, we talked, I don't know if it was the beginning of this semester or the end, that's, and no disrespect to the teams that we've had before in this team, but that's their story. These young ladies get to write their story, and I think it's disrespectful in a way of just assuming it's going to happen.
Right.
We got a lot of new faces, a lot that haven't seen a lot of reps, because that group had taken up a lot of them. So, I knew going into this season, I had my mindset that, we're going to get better every week. And with this bunch, maybe we took for granted the groups that we've had in the past 3 years. We'll get a lot out of them. And this group is totally coachable. And I think they're relishing the opportunities to get to play and test themselves. And that's, I don't know if it's what you guys are talking about with Wade, but, it's us against us in a lot of ways. You can't really guard anybody. You can't do anything. So, we're just trying to be the best versions of ourselves every time we go out. And I think we got a group that can really assess things that went wrong. We unpack it and we get better and we go forward.
Well, I think what I meant more is you have a standard here.
Yeah.
A way of going to work. And it doesn't matter if it's a new player or not. The results will come with time, but the standard is the standard.
Standard is standard. And that's why I was very upset and really disappointed in the late, mistakes that we had. Because we'd gotten very used to a group that didn't do that. Did they do that? Yeah, for sure. We learned from that. But yeah, good teams don't do that. And I still think we are a good team. Maybe I should say great teams don't do that. But, that's why I think everybody was a little disappointed. They know the standard.
Yeah.
And they know the opportunity that they put themselves in that field. And I think everybody was a little disappointed in a way of how it finished.
I think it should be both, disappointed and proud. Like, look, we can do this.
I had a great talk with Kennedy yesterday, and to that point is kind of how she felt. Like, look, nobody is putting us, in the national championship or anything like that because it's just faces that haven't been around. But yeah, I think it's disappointing. I didn't see any celebrating or anything that feel like we accomplished anything or that we've arrived. So that's the good thing is there was young ladies out practicing yesterday on a day off. So, man, I think we've got the culture to overcome all that stuff and keep the standard the same.
Talk to me about Vanessa. What a final performance, right?
Great performance. I was fortunate enough to get to walk with her last 36 holes, and She actually had it really going her front nine that first round and made a mistake at the turn and then lost focus and made a really big number on her 10th hole and shot, I think it was 76 or something like that, which if you'd have told me she was going to shoot that first round, I'd have said something happened horribly wrong because she looked really, really good leading up to that event. And so just helped her get back on her feet and gain some confidence in her round. And yeah, to post 2 red numbers to really help us out just says a lot about a freshman who's really not a freshman anymore. You know, she didn't very, the last round, she hit 17 greens, didn't really miss a shot. So we're very excited that we're going to see a lot of golf from her the next 3.5 years.
And Kata, for the most part, did really, really well, right?
Yep.
She was, tied for 3rd entering the last round?
And hung in there. You know, she made a triple on that hole that really, really killed the team's chances to having a very high finish. But really didn't have her best stuff the last day, but battled through it. And just unfortunately, she had a late triple bogey on 15 that really derailed probably a good finish. This is what she looked poised to do for that week. But, we talked at the airport about a plan, coming back and things that we liked that were happening in October. She's like, yeah, I want to get back to that. So I don't worry about her much. And, she processes it well. She was very upset. She should be. And that's what you expect from a competitor like her.
Quick turnaround, too. You got Chevron and Humble coming up.
Which is what, it's why I told him when we pulled back in the parking lot on Tuesday night, like, it does stink, but the best thing that I think a competitor wants is to get back in that arena really quick.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that we don't have to sit around for 2 more weeks or a week and a half. I'm ready to dive back in and clean up a few things, but still continue to work on what we're working on.
And tell me if this is a fair way of assessing where the program is today.
Yep.
Disappointed, also growth. Like the 2 things can be true. Top 5 finish, a lot to be proud of, but we're not that proud just yet because we got more work to do.
Yeah, and I think that's very fair. I think, it's winning in our sport. We talked about this last time I was on. Winning in our sport is very hard because you got to beat 14 other teams in a given week. It's not a head-to-head thing. But everybody remembers the postseason, and I don't want to discredit what we do fall and this time of year. But everything is a build to that,
right?
And I've tried to pride our programs on playing our best in April and May, with respect of, I do want to win, but understand that there's going to be growth happening every week. So, I think what you said is very accurate. But it is still February, and it feels like February in more ways than one. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt too. Like, look, we haven't had a lot of reps outside in a way. So, I'm ready to go get on the road with him and compete again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Gerrod
Diego.
Chadwell here in studio. Your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff, personal touch is Aggieland Express Car Wash. They're Aggieland's first green car wash. They recycle 100% of their water. They got 2 great locations, the William D. Fitch location, close to our house, and the newest location, 2528 Texas Avenue South in College Station across from Planet Fitness. They both offer all the cleaning options that you want, but the Texas Avenue location has got the full service wash, and they've got 3 different levels of full service washes, and we're going to give one away right now. Caller number 1 at 979-693-1150. You're going to get yourself a full-service wash from the Texas Avenue location. That's a $40 value, 979-693-1150. It is Aggieland Express Car Wash. I feel bad for my guys, the fan show, because it's going to be abbreviated. Not only is it shorter because it's the season and we've got Coach Chadwell, but like we're way late. Gentlemen, how are you?
It's all right. Hey, it's the spring, and the coaches obviously get.
We're just excited to be here.
You could bump Logan, let's be honest.
Well, this is true. Yeah.
We
still haven't hung out.
coordinated for the blackout?
Yeah, that's true. We did.
I did not dress up. Roy Mays here, Matt Browning. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Caitlin Torrens got the first question.
Yep. What is on y'all's mind?
Oh, boy.
Who's starting?
Two things. So I'm actually going to start with softball. The fact that we dropped one in the rankings because we lost one literal walk-off against another top 10 team is just dumb.
Yeah.
Rankings are so stupid. But a great weekend for softball. I was able to catch almost every game. And obviously baseball it's just kind of we're in that time.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing on my mind is this Saturday. One, Logan hit it on the head. And, man, 11 a.m. tip sucks. But really big opportunity to bounce back. All those ratings you guys were showing with Kim Palm, offensively, defensively, their metrics for Tennessee, we know they're a good team. And that's what, I think you said it, that's what you expect to see when it's a battle against a top 10, opponent. But what a great opportunity to get the taste out of your mouth from the last one. Bounce back, you're at home. Hopefully the crowd will be, they'll pack Reed. And so I'm really, really intrigued with this basketball matchup on Saturday.
Mr. Browning?
Yeah, basketball was kind of, first of all, the SEC is so good. And you're we had a 5-game win streak going into it. We've played really, really well. We've had some good comebacks. We've had some other, it's been kind of a fun little ride. You're eventually going to run into a buzzsaw at some point in this latter schedule. You kind of hoped it wouldn't be Mississippi State because they, of the 4 remaining ranked teams, they're the only one of those that's not ranked above us.
Yeah.
And so you kind of hope that you wouldn't have laid an egg there, but you can't score 3 points in the first 10 minutes of the second half and expect to win. That's all we scored in the first half of the second half.
And OB went back at the end of the first half. I think the last 5 minutes. They only had a bucket, so 5 in that.
So 5 points in a 15-minute span of basketball is going to, especially in the SEC, as good as it is against a team like Mississippi State's a good basketball team at home.
Yep.
You're not going to win that game. So, but the beautiful thing is that we've got, I thought about this before that game even. I was like, look, if we go, we've got 6 games remaining, 4 against ranked opponents and 2 against non-ranked opponents, but Vanderbilt's good. Vanderbilt is a tournament team but if you can beat Vandy and LSU, and you lose the other 4, I still think you're probably a 3 seed, right? You split, you're a 2 seed. You split, let's say you win those 2, but you split 4 of, 2 of the, to go 2 out of 4, those 4 remaining ranked matchups, you're a 2 seed. You win them all, you're a 1 seed.
Yep.
I think if you lose all of these games, you might drop to a 4 seed total. That's how good our resume was going into this. So, this time of year, it's all about tournament. It's all about the tournament to me. And so we're just preparing to get to the tournament. And so I do want to see some improvement. I want to see some better offense at times. We've got to figure out a way to, when we get into these slumps, to break these slumps. And in the past, we've gone down to Pharrell Payne. We didn't do that this game.
Well, they also could match his physicality a little bit. I thought Mississippi State was good. You have a funny thought coming. I know it. I see it.
What are we still getting upset about these scoring droughts? At this point,
this is who we are.
This is who we are. So we get on here and we bang the desk and we're like, man, they didn't score for 14 minutes. Yeah, they've done that 9 times this year.
Yes.
It's just.
I don't know about that long, but
these scoring droughts are what we are, and we weren't able to weather because you hit the nail on the head. Mississippi State, they matched the intensity. They beat us at our own game. They've got some athletes at Mississippi State, and I believe as Aaron Torres said earlier today, it doesn't matter who you're playing the SEC. You better come ready to go. And I was watching last night. Did you catch the Kentucky Vanderbilt game? 1-point game at the half, and Kentucky ends up blowing their doors off. Yeah. The SEC is completely insane.
It is. It's crazy. And what Mississippi State did, and here's the difference. I was looking at it. We didn't shoot much worse than we normally do. The problem was we didn't get the offensive rebounds that we normally do. That's the second chance points is where we is our bread and butter. And Mississippi State figured out a way to limit our offensive rebounds. I think, was it our lowest total in the SEC play so far? I believe it was. I heard that somewhere. I might be wrong, but they figured out how to do that. And so, but yeah, the reason why I still say it is because you have a game like that come tournament time, it's over. You're out. You're done. You're
Everybody
toast.
knows that, though.
So So the idea is,
but A&M can do that to who they're playing to as well.
That's true. But what I'm saying is, like, the reason for the regular season is to prepare for the tournament. And so, okay, hey, look, when we get in these, how do we get out of them?
Yep.
That's all I'm trying to say. Is we just need
your best
and I don't disagree with you. If I'm going to be optimistic, I'm going to say, but you know what? If A&M is successful, they're not going to face this caliber of team in the first couple rounds of the NCAA tournament.
That's true. Hey, that's wild, isn't it? That's a really good basketball team.
If I were the Mississippi State coach or even fans right now, I would have come out of that game being like, where the hell has this been all year? Like, where has this intensity been? Why did you only bring it against A&M? Because if Mississippi State played like that every game like we do, the intensity we play with, they'd probably be better.
Yeah.
Even better than they are.
That's a wild thought to think about. When we get to the tournament, the competition level will drop.
At least in the
it's going to get easier the first weekend of the tournament.
And that doesn't mean you can weather a 15-minute stretch of not scoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying that. But I do think, like, everybody you're playing, especially this last couple weeks.
What a bruiser.
They're top 5 teams.
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
We have three top 10 matchups still remaining.
So since this is the fan show, do we as a group, all fans, recognize, like, the kind of legendary status of athletes on campus right now?
Mm-hmm.
So think about it, right? Like, Mike Evans, when he was here, I think we appreciated him, but now looking back, look, Mike Evans, right? Like, not only what he's done in the NFL, but looking at his college days. We knew Johnny, right?
Mm.
You got Jace right now,
who might be the best we've ever had,
right? If not, he's in the conversation.
Might be the best athlete on campus.
You got Wade, right?
Who's one of the best we've ever had,
and he's about to break the scoring record, right? You had a women's tennis national championship. You've had golf. Like, we're in a really good place, and just some of the names. Brian Prager. Like, sometimes he's forgotten. Brian Prager's a freaking stud, right? Like, the kind
Gavin Grohovac.
Gavin Grohovac.
Jeff Kent. I mean, his son.
Caden Kent. So,
well, even guys like Garcia and Solo walking around campus. One, they're monsters, like among men. But I think there's so much of the fan base, I think we talked about this last week, is able to relate to so many different players on the team. And, basketball makes it a little easier because, unlike football, you can see their face the entire game. It's kind of same with baseball. And then basketball guys are obviously just going to be a little easier to pick out, again, because they're, generally much taller than the average human being. It's you look across kind of what we have right now, and it's not just individuals, it's also kind of the collectives as well.
So we went to the Arkansas game. And so I sat there with my wife, and I was like, watch Solo, watch number 9 out there. Before the game, he's over there. He's doing he's literally doing the yells. He's doing all that the whole game. He's doing this. That kid. That's what I like about it, that intensity. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, he's my new favorite player." Yeah. So I was like, they're all. But then you watch. That was the question that they posed last week. Like, who's your favorite basketball player? If you asked 50 Aggies who their favorite football players is, you'll probably get 10, 12 different answers, right?
Basketball-wise?
Basketball, probably close to the same thing. It's pretty wild that you have that many different characters that are all. You've got your star, who's Wade.
Yeah.
You've got your big man who plays old school style and Payne. You've got your energy guys like Garcia and.
I gravitate towards them, and then I'm like, but I love Henry Coleman.
Oh,
but
I love Henry
Wade.
Coleman.
See what you're doing? But Pharrell Payne, dude, that guy's he's great.
But Hefner.
Hefner to go from being to the style of basketball, just a 3-point shooter is all we thought he was. Now he's a defender. He's getting in the lane.
The get back guy,
You've got Zerk Phelps, who's our number 2 scorer now, and then you got Manny, who's just such a good dude.
We got to hit a break here. We'll come back. It's a short segment. Sorry, guys. Brazos Running Company, located at Century Square, Aggie owned and operated specialty running store with an outstanding selection of running gear and shoes. They have brands like Brooks, On, and Hoka. If you're a runner or into fitness or any kind of fitness activities, the right shoe makes all the difference in the world. And at Brazos Running Company, they're passionate about finding you that right brand. And by the way, they have so many different types of brands to highlight there. Vuori, everybody loves Vuori. Duck Camp, one of our favorites here at TexAgs. Turtlebox speakers, Stanley Cups. It is the Brazos Running Company, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to continue with the fan show, guys, for a short period, but a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All the vehicles you want, they got them there. If you're looking for a truck, they'll take care of you. Looking for pre-owned, new, they're the place to go in the Brazos Valley when you're looking for a new vehicle because they've got the best customer service, great pricing, and great trade-in value. And they are locally owned and operated by Aggie alumni, complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers, and free oil changes for life of your purchase. It's not a far drive, 15 minutes, the edge of Bryant to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Gentlemen, Matt, you made a point. We did a whole first segment and didn't really touch on baseball.
Yeah, we said we have the #1 team in the country after their first opening weekend.
And we were like, hey, everybody on campus knows Jace.
A 3-0 sweep. A 3-0 sweep. We said like 4 words about them because this basketball team is that good.
Yeah.
And even though we were coming off a loss, which is always a bummer, but this is the league is so good. It's you can't really be too upset about it. You've got a huge makeup. You can turn the whole tide of everything this weekend. So we've got a huge game. But yeah, it is funny that we have the #1 baseball team, but that's a good problem to have. It's a great problem that we've got such a good basketball team too. And then you've got, Roy's first thing was softball. So we've got some really cool stuff. Touching on your point a second ago, where we've got some of our maybe our best athletes ever on campus right now.
Yeah,
it's a really good time. For real.
Any takeaways from baseball this weekend?
Just kind of did what you were supposed to do against an opponent like Elon. A little dicey with some relief pitching, against an inferior opponent. But again, first series, I just all positives. #1 team in the country did what a #1 team in the country should do on opening weekend.
Yeah, and watch it. My main thing was I was watching a lot of the new guys.
Yeah,
and that was
TK.
Yeah, I like him. Man. I like him. But Hensler and Cash. I think they're going to be. I think they're really going to be good. I think they're really, really. They're going to fill in these roles of. When you lose Teddy Burton and you lose guys like that were such staples.
Montgomery.
Yeah, you lose staples like that, but to turn around and then maybe even be better. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. I just don't know how they're going to play in freezing cold weather.
I am not worried about the offense. I don't think anybody really is.
Gosh, no.
I'm not even worried about the bullpen. That's just the place I'm keeping a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think going in, I think we talked about the bullpen would be the one thing we were looking at just to see how it kind of all came out of the wash, right? Still a little bit of a battle going on at first base, I think, just because I think how the play went. So that'll be just another one to keep an eye on. But again, we're not looking at these as negatives or anything like that. It's just something to watch throughout the season. We have so much talent, so much depth. We're going to get to see a lot of faces.
Yeah, we're getting when you're good, you get nitpicky.
Yeah, you do.
We're getting nitpicky.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
David.
Thank you.
Tomorrow on the program, we'll have a Tennessee insider. We'll have Billy Lucci. We will have the baseball bunch. We'll have John Puglisi. That and much, much more. It's TexAgs Live. We'll see you mañana.